Hey, Cleaning Nation, Mike Campion here with Jackson Pinkoski. He is our marketing guy. He helps us with our marketing. He does all the stuff we do for our clients, and he is intimately familiar, not just with marketing, but specifically for owners of cleaning companies. And today we are going to dive into matching lead source with your client. And I think we'll talk about the foundational perspective that's, I think, getting in the way from you guys being effective with marketing. And then we'll kind of give some specific examples. So the big thing is, I think a lot of our marketing is us centered. And we've talked about that before. Like, I'm like, we're the best cleaner. We don't cut corners, we clean them. We're green, we're cheap, we're whatever. But Jackson, if he's my perfect prospect, isn't really interested in what we are. He's interested in him and his problems. So we've talked on other podcasts, which is really important, about making the message about them and their problems, not about us and our offerings. So that's a big foundation we've got to lay. We do the same thing when it comes to marketing, right? We make it about where we want to market or where we're comfortable, we think is good, but we don't really think through where that client goes to solve their problem. So I'll give a couple examples and I'll let Jackson give his perspective on any of it. Residential is a very short buying cycle, right? They typically have the idea that they want a cleaner, and they've either booked online, God forbid. That's not what we coach you to do, is take the online clients. They're usually the lowest caliber. Or they've set up an appointment with a real professional, come to their house, and they're like, okay, I've scratched that itch. I don't have to worry about that anymore. I'll deal with it when that appointment comes. So if we did a long-term process with them, it's not going to be the end of the world, but we can do just quick little Facebook ads or just local service ads or just kind of quick, I have a pain, I want to solve it, let's go. Commercial, on the other hand, is completely the opposite, right? If I'm, especially for the accounts that we want, like maybe there's a chiropractor in a strip mall with 1,100 square feet that's secretary does it and his budget's $300. He might go online and be like, best cleaning company in Nashville, and like try and, and so I'm not saying you can't get any clients, but the real ones, the guys that are like $3 or $4 grand a month, 5 days a week, like the people that we want, they know people. They've got relationships. They're not going to, and I'm not saying 0%, but the likelihood of them Googling like best whatever is just very, very low. So that's not to say that pay-per-click never works with commercial, or that, longer term sales marketing processes never work with residential, but you just want to kind of take that in mind. Also, like, who's on that? Like, if I'm going to be at a Chamber of Commerce is a perfect example. Like, I'm residential, say, especially the commercial. Like, I own a commercial cleaning company. And we're like, well, that's full of businesses, and I clean businesses. Like, yeah, but are they big businesses? Like, it's like the local news station, right? It's like, well, do they really have a big cleaning budget? Like, how big is their studio? And is the guy that makes the decision on that studio, is he going to be the one that's at the event? Like, we're kind of adjacent, but not really there. So we spend all this time networking, and there might be 86 people in the room. And of those 86 people, 10 might represent companies that we could or would clean for, but the decision maker is 0 to 1 of those 10 people. And they don't raise their hand going, I'm the guy. They're just one of 86 people. Maybe he doesn't even show up to that meeting. So I just wanted to talk about on this call, I'm going to turn over to Jackson on this podcast, how we can match kind of what our people want with where we advertise. Other podcasts, we talk about what to say, which is equally important, but this is where to advertise and how to shift it from being where we feel comfortable advertising. Well, I'm on Facebook, so my clients are on Facebook, or I hate social media, therefore my clients aren't on social media, or I never look at direct mail or junk mail, or I don't take any telemarketing, or fill in the blank with the way I think, I perceive, I buy stuff that has nothing to do with anything if I'm not representative of my target client. All right. I feel like that's a good ranty kind of introduction, Jackson. Hit us with your perspective and experience.
Yeah, it's oftentimes a lot of the reasons, companies, think they have to market to something, or like your example of the commercial, or the commercial with the local business hub or local business meetings. It makes you as the business owner feel good, right? It kind of bumps up your ego a little bit because, hey, I'm an official business. Look at me. With these other official business people. And that's great. That's awesome. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying you haven't worked hard you are an official business and you should be proud of that. But if you're spending time, energy, and money, and you have the expectation of, oh, I'm gonna I'm going to get business out of this, then you better be damn sure that the right people are at that event, right? And you essentially want to you got to take yourself completely out of it because you are not especially in the commercial side, you are not your perfect prospect whatsoever. On the residential side, you might be. But hey, it's funny, a lot of the people I work with, they don't have their own cleaning companies clean for them. So they wouldn't be their perfect prospect. They have somebody
And
else
they're
clean for them.
a lot of the perfect prospects are in $800,000 houses, and they're not living in
Yeah,
800,000.
yeah, exactly. So, um, and it's actually really fun once you start changing your mindset and your thought process to think of yourself as the customer, right? Or put like transform how you look at your business through the eyes of a customer, right? And on the commercial side, yeah, it's a longer process, it's a longer sales cycle, but getting in front of those people is just like Mike said, they know people, they've been in business probably for a while, like those big businesses have been around for a while. They have a Rolodex of people they can go to. So your number one goal is getting on that Rolodex, right? Not as a salesperson, not pitching them, not hoping you catch them when they're looking for a free estimate, but instead being their number one value for a cleaning company. And on the residential side, it is, yeah, thinking of, these are the people in these really big houses that have a tough time cleaning them or want help cleaning them or just spend all day cleaning them. So, where am I going to find them? What platforms, what things are they reading? What are they responding to? Where do they go to the gym? It's not what you do, it's what they do. And so, take yourself completely out of it. And you tend to have a lot of fun with it because now you're thinking like your customer, you're kind of putting yourself in their shoes, and it's very, very, very effective.
Yeah, I love the take yourself out of your own shoes because, like, even with like going to the gym, like maybe you're like, my customers go to the gym, but which gym do they go to? Right? It's really the neighborhood. And on the commercial side, Jackson made a really good point. Like, we are just not our customer. So I'll give a couple of specific examples and the whys so you can extrapolate out. For commercial, Jackson made a really good point. You kind of want to be the next guy up or the next gal up, right? We're not when there's an RFP or an RFQ and they're kind of out to bid, it's a cattle call, right? And it's one of those things where, especially if it's a larger contract, I mean, there's just so much going on behind the scenes. Usually there might be five or six bidders and two or three people all know each other. And one of them is going to get the bid. And if you don't know all those guys, kind of like if you sit down at the poker table and you don't know who the chump is, you're probably the chump. I feel the same way when I walk into a cattle call bidding. And there's 6, 8 guys there and they all kind of know each other and like whatever. And I don't know. I'm like, uh-oh, either I'm going to lose this bid, in which case I'm wasting my time, or I'm going to get it because they know something I don't know, in which case that's even, better to lose a winner than to win a loser. So the real goal with commercial, and a lot of people go, I'll get on a list and I'll get, call now for a free estimate. It's like this, the worst of the worst of the clients, as opposed to going, and we'll even say things like, well, that's not fair. They know all these guys and they have relationships. Like, yeah, well, let's just build a gosh darn relationship. If only there was a way we could build a relationship. And the cool thing with commercial is nobody gets this. So they all do the like, I'm on Google Ads, I'm on like, what are they like kind of looking for the one-stop quickie, which again, I'm not knocking those platforms. Those are great for residential because it's more of a transactional. I just want it and I want it now. Yeah. So one of the things I would encourage when it comes to commercial is two things. One, we have to be hyper specific on who we want, right? Because we're building a relationship, and it's going to take more time. Like again, the buy cycle for residential might be hours, usually less than a day or two, certainly less than a week. Commercial might be months, can be years. So if it's $1,000 a month, and that's one of the mistakes people make when they do the marketing and we tell them like, hey, you have to build a relationship, they settle for weak clients because they're afraid of the big clients. But then when we tell them of, hey, you need to spend months, maybe even years building a relationship, they get overwhelmed. It's like, well, if this guy's account is, 100 grand a year in cleaning and he stayed with his last guy for 6 years, that's a $500,000 relationship. Is that worth building a relationship over 6 months to get it? Yeah, of course it is. So we might recommend something like a multi-step direct mail campaign followed up with phone calls undergirded by monthly events that you invite them to. And between you going to whatever their association for gyms or restaurants or car dealerships or whatever your niche is, you're like, wow, that sounds like a lot. Yeah. But if you've got 100 people that you're targeting that meet that criterion and they're all worth $200,000 on average, it's a $2 million a year recurring revenue type deal. Even if you only get 200%, 10, 20% of them, these are millions of dollars over lifetime value. Mike Campion here. Do you ever listen to the podcast and go, this is great information, I just wish I could actually get it implemented, and I wish I could get some help? Well, we do that. If you would like either myself or my team's help actually coming up with a plan that's specialized to you and your business, because with these podcasts, obviously we have to be very general and we can only go 20 minutes at a time. If you'd like to jump on a call with myself or my team, go to growmycleaningcompany.com/talk. We'll jump on a call. There's no charge, and we'll help you get some absolute clarity around exactly what to do next and how to do it. The reason we don't charge for these calls is the plan that we come up with, people want help implementing that. If that's the case, we're happy to talk about it. And if it's not, that's okay too. We're happy to just help you come up with a plan. So if you want to translate the information you're learning here into an actual plan that can change your life, give us a ring, growmycleaningcompany.com/talk. Love to either myself or have one of our coaches walk you through and actually personalize the content you get here to where you're at with your business. Talk soon. So you might do something that's like, yeah, I'm going to go to an association every time they've got an opening for 6 months, and maybe I don't get a single gosh darn client, but 6 months from now, when I've got 30 hours into this thing and maybe a couple grand in association dues, and I get one client that's $5,800 a month, well, all of a sudden that makes sense. Now, am I going to do the same thing when it comes to residential? No. For residential, it might be more local service ads. I'm just Googling who can come and clean my house tomorrow. And I'm going to try and work that into, we're still have to, and again, on the residential side, it's the opposite. They get too many people. I just want a one-time clean. I just want the cheapest price. And they say things like local service ads don't work. It's like, well, hold on. Let's check. Let's get some data. And maybe you paid for $30 an ad for 10 leads, $30 a lead for 10 leads. It was $300, and 8 of those leads were garbage, right? They were like one-time clean or out of your area or whatever. We complain. There's only 2 that were any good. And of those 2, I only get 1. But if that one customer is $400 a month and they stay for 3 years, it's a great deal. So I think a lot of it's just refocusing on, just like Jackson said, who we're serving, and more importantly, how they buy. Like even with, like we talk about direct mail for commercial cleaning, it might be a little more expensive. We might have something lumpy in it. It might be hand printed, or you might follow it up with a phone call. There might be a gift inside of it. You might do a 3 series thing to get, really get their attention. On the residential, you might just put a door hanger or a postcard that's like, call us now, which is a completely different thing. So what, in your day-to-day, Jackson, you actually get to deal with our clients who are winning and losing and struggling and learning. What are the kind of the big lessons that you've seen them learn in regards to matching where you do your advertising with who your client is and what they want, how they want to buy, that you can share with our listeners here?
Yeah, excuse me. Yeah, so day to day, again, like I get presented with like things and areas, and mostly on the residential side of like places they want to market or places they want to advertise, that aren't digital. Usually it's like magazines, golf course, different local areas, different local things. And people get so excited on it. And I think they really get excited on the fact that the advertising platform or the business has asked them to sponsor something within them. So like in the golf course example, the golf course has asked this cleaning company to advertise with them, and people get excited on that. And it's like, great.
Same thing with a chamber, right? They're like, oh, I'm a real business. And again, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. I just want to encourage people. It is okay if you're like, I want to spend this time or money to feel good and have my name in print and show my family and feel. If that's your goal and you want to spend money, we're not here to judge you. Just be super clear. Like, no. My goal is just to make money. It's like, okay, then we need to think about that differently. Like wrapping our cars or having wrapped cars. People feel real good. Anyway, go ahead, Jackson.
Exactly. No, I will support you 100%. If you come to me and tell me, hey, the goal is I just want to get my name plastered on a car, on a billboard or anything, and I don't care what comes out of it, then I'll be like, that's awesome. This is going to 100% do it for you. But yeah, like Mike said, if the goal is to make money to get customers, then I'm going to pop your balloon a little bit in the nicest way possible, because we just need to talk about, well, are your customers there? Are they doing that? And I are they going to view whatever your advertisement is because they drive by it, they participate in it, they go to the meetings, they read the magazine, whatever it is. And I think that's the biggest learning factor for people because it's one of those things. Once you tell them once, they start to kind of understand it. And especially when you take into account what is that advertisement going to cost? What is the potential growth out of it? You know, they say, oh, yeah, I can do a billboard, but it's going to be, you know, it's going to be really expensive. It's going to be $2,000 for the year. It's like, okay, well, is that spread out over 12 months? Is it that paid over 6 months? 2000 bucks sounds like a lot, but if you've got 90% of the people that see it on a day-to-day basis are your perfect customers. If you take into some approximations of your lead cost, we can extrapolate all that and we can predict, yeah, you'll spend 2000 bucks, but you could potentially get like $50,000 in recurring revenue over the course of the year. That sounds pretty great, right? And then that is the biggest, I guess,
Let me
learning
let
bit
me
of it.
break down that math real quick because I think what you just said people are going to think is extraordinary and like, well, that would never happen. So let's just walk through what that would look like. If your average client is like 420 bucks, 450 bucks, call it 450 a month, and they stay for a year, that's 5 grand. So when Jackson's like $50,000 in annual recurring revenue, well, 10 of those $5,000 clients for the first year would be $50,000. So if of those 12 months you had this $2,000 billboard, of those 12 months, 10 of which you got one client and you never got two clients, and 2 months you got no clients, and they all stay exactly 1 year. Most of your clients should stay longer. That's the 50,000. So I just want to encourage you because you went over the math pretty quick, and I think it sounded extraordinary. And often people, if you said, "Hey, if you give me 2 grand, I'll get you $50,000 of recurring annual revenue every year. Would you like to do that?" People will say yes. But if you give me 2 grand now, and you'll get 0 to 1 clients a month, more months than not, you'll get a client over that. People will be like, "Oh, that's not a good deal," right?
Yeah.
So I just wanted to kind of sorry, I didn't mean to step over you. Just you said such an
No,
important.
no, that's perfect. But again, in this theme of being where your prospects are, in this example, if that's a $2,000 billboard by a train yard versus a $2,000 billboard by the grocery store in a neighborhood, that there's a big difference there, right? And I would encourage you to think which one's going to have your perfect prospects, the train yard or the grocery store billboard.
That's a great point. Last thing I'll say, we'll wrap because we're running into some time, is the offer can be customized to the medium. So I'll give a commercial example and a residential example. So on the residential side, like we talked about the golf course, you might say, well, golf course, I'm guessing is going to be predominantly men, right? So for residential, you're like, well, I want to sell to women. Well, if it's predominantly going to be men, I might change my offer as opposed to calling out for a free, estimate. Go buy your wife the gift of happiness, or have your next round of golf guilt free. Like
Yeah,
that's what the
that,
guy's thinking, right? And if I buy my wife, if I sign up for cleaning, whatever, and my wife's wanted, I'm kind of on the edge anyway. And then the next round of golf is free on me, and my wife's going to feel good about it because I got her cleaning service, and the advertising can make that connection. We're going to get some god dang, we're going to get some conversion. Now, if I had a billboard that said, "Get your next round of golf and your wife happy," that may not be that may not make any sense. On the commercial side, again, we can always do free estimate, but like on the lumpy mail type stuff that we'll send, I think one of the deals we send is like handcuffs. Like, are you handcuffed to your current cleaner? And because there's all handcuffs, first of all, the open rate is going to be super huge, and then the offer can be, call now for your freedom. And if you don't, we're going to give you speaking of freedom, we're going to give you a free dinner, or like, but you can you can really tie the offer to the medium. And people, I think, miss that a lot. So they're like, I like Facebook ads. I'm comfortable with Facebook ads, or some good Facebook ad sales guy agency called me. So I'm doing Facebook ads, or the magazine, or the Chamber of Commerce, or telemarketing, or fill in the blank. But we don't really think through what does our customer want. And then we go to the copy. It's a lot about we're the best as opposed to what can I say to my customer in the space that he's in? So the way, if it's a piece of direct mail, I know the customer's sitting at his desk opening the mail, I'm going to have a different offer than if it's a billboard, right? And the billboard, it's like, call now. It's like, well, what's the chance this guy's going to, or, scan this QR code? Like, well, the guy's driving by 60 miles an hour, or go to this website. Like, it's not going to happen. You kind of need to, it's kind of got to be a phone call. If it's on the mail, and most of my clients are going to open their mail at their desk in their office, go to this website might be a reasonable thing. So make sure we're not just modifying what we say to who our clients are and what they want, but where we say it to who our clients are and what we want, and even what we offer to who our clients are and what they want, based on the place that we know that they are, based on the ad, right? We know something about these clients. If it's a golf course advertisement, we know to some degree they're into golf and they're at a golf course right now, right? If it's a billboard, we know overwhelmingly they're in their car, right? So they're probably not going to do something that would be prohibited in their car.
Yeah. Yeah. I love when I'm talking, they send me, oh, this is what I want the billboard to look like. And there's a QR code on it or the website. I'm like, I really hope, unless they're in back-to-back traffic, even then, nobody's scanning that QR code in traffic.
Yeah. Or even typing in a website.
Yeah. Or a website. Yeah.
What are we doing? All right, cool. So Clean Nation, the big thing I want to give you is, and we haven't got into the tracking, please, please, please track. That's the right answer. Jackson and I guessed pretty good, but if you took a poor marketer who had good tracking, or Jackson and I with no tracking, the poor marketer is going to crush us every day, twice on Sundays. So track all this stuff. The big thing is, if you aren't getting the results that you want with the advertising you have, do something different and just be more into, let's think about the details, right? It's a lot easier to just be like, oh, give me the silver bullet. If I just sign up for LSAs, I'll be rich. If I just do direct mail, I'll be rich. But the reality is, we've got to think through who we're speaking to, what offer we're making, is it compelling to them? So, and just like Jackson said, it can be fun. Once you start getting to know your client and you start speaking to them, and you kind of have it as a game, is how can I engage? It's a ton of fun. So that's that. Thank you for time and attention. GrowMyCleaningCompany.com's got all the resources you need. Instagram, podcasts, YouTube, blah, blah, blah. See you there. Hey, Cleaning Nation, if you dug the content you just got, we don't do any ads and I don't sell anything on this podcast, but if you would just subscribe, rate, and review, it would be huge, and I'd be so appreciative. Not only is it going to help me, but you'll help other owners of cleaning companies across the world work less, make more, and get profitable. So if you appreciate the value we give, again, subscribe, rate, and review. It would mean the world to me. I'd really appreciate it, and we sure appreciate your time and attention.